Welcome on in. This is the second cut. I'm Rick Gehman, and today we are putting a bow on the 2025 Ryder Cup and looking ahead, because golf never stops, to the Sanderson Farms Championship. Joining me to do just that, Greg DuCharme is here.
Rick, Mark, great to be with you today. I'm looking forward to putting a bow on the Ryder Cup. I've gotten very worked up over this, very frustrated. And I'm looking forward to hearing Mark's thoughts. I'm looking forward to putting a bow on it and getting back to some 72-hole stroke play. I'm really excited about that.
A man who needs no introduction, a man who wears his initial on his head. It is Mark Immelman. Mark, it's good to see you.
That M is for municipal. It's not for Mark, just for the record.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good to be with you guys. Greg, I was really sad that I missed your rants over the last few days last week at the Ryder Cup. So maybe you can reprise some of them in the show for me.
Well, I was going to tee up Mark here because we didn't get a chance to get Mark's thoughts post Ryder Cup. But when a man says he is worked up, when a man comes out with his monologue and says he's worked up, I've got to start there. So Greg, what's got you worked up about the Ryder Cup?
Well, we've been talking about this for 2 days now, right after, and we talked about it during as well. And there's an attitude among some of the people, which why does it bother me? I mean, I don't know why it bothers me, but we've been taking calls on the radio show, and the attitude of, we just didn't make any putts, they just played better, is prevalent. And it bothers me because this has happened far too many times for that to be the case. And I'm not saying that if we made better decisions, we would have won. But we didn't put ourselves in a position to say they just made more putts. And I think you can do that. And so the thing that really bothers me is that we got outworked. And I know that Keegan and his team worked very hard on this. I don't doubt the effort, but maybe we didn't work smart enough because their strategy was simply better than ours. Theirs is easy to identify. Ours is not. And those kind of things really... They bother me because I want the U.S. to win the Ryder Cup. This is now 11 of the last 16 we've lost. Right? It's 2 of the last 4 we've lost at home. And it even we lost at home before that too. So it just is upsetting to me, and I want to fix it. And I don't get the sense that it's going to get fixed. I don't know who our savior is in the Ryder Cup. And so part of this is, I think this is, you're going to see on my grids going forward a lot of Europe. And I don't want to do that.
I like that you're already teasing your grids for 2 years from now, 4 years from now, 6 years from now, that we might be seeing
Europe.
A lot of Europe within those grids. Okay, Mark. So let's get your thoughts on this, because as this always happens after after the Ryder Cup, or really after any big event like this. We've been talking about it for 2 years, and then what's going to start to happen? It's already starting, and I'm sure it'll continue. These little details will start coming out, right? You'll start hearing about things that were said or things that were happened, and everybody will kind of put this picture together. But as of right now, which is September 30th at 5:35 p.m. Eastern time, the picture that's being put together is that Team Europe nailed all of the details off the golf course, nailed all the details in terms of strategy and potentially preparation. And the plan that the United States had has a lot of people wanting more and wondering what that plan actually was.
Yeah, okay. I got a lot of thoughts on this. I want to start sort of at the grassroots of it all, because match play, and I do want to see the grid, because I felt like my grid last week did pretty well. I know I picked Fleetwood as the top points earner.
You did.
And Europe to win.
Yeah, we'll get you the grid from last week.
Cool.
Yeah,
because my NFL, I'm done with that. I'm really right. Back to match play. Match play is a mindset. And I hosted those tours for PepsiCo, a couple a day. And Dottie Pepper and I did a pre-tournament dinner for the guests. And so we talked about the vagaries of match play, and it's exactly that. And match play is a mindset. And match play is one of those things like someone on Friday morning, because at Pepsi, they were all American fans, naturally. And so they were like, well, you're the lone, European in here. And I was like, I'm an American citizen, but I pull for my friends kind of thing. But the Europeans and the internationals play a whole lot more match play than what Americans do. It's just as simple as that. Interclub matches over in Europe and in the rest of the world, you start playing match play as soon as you can make your club team. Where in the United States, everything's about stroke play. And then this Friday morning conversation I had with someone, they were like, so why is Scotty so bad in match play? And I'm like, he's not really bad in match play. It's just Scotty's a marathon guy. He's used to 4 rounds of tour golf, and they pace themselves as such. And that's the first thing. So if you really want to, investigate and have some sort of task force against making the current Ryder Cup crew stronger, you start them playing match play earlier, because it's a skill that you learn. It's as simple as that. Then I do want to say about the data, and I heard people on Golf Channel and stuff saying the Europeans' data was different. Here's the reality, man. When you stick a T-peg in the ground on Friday morning or Saturday morning or Sunday morning, the data and the resume go straight out of the window. Because
that's Mark is currently putting his fingers into the shape of a sphincter if you are not watching on YouTube.
Yeah, and that thing tightens. So everyone will tell you what separates the Ryder Cup from every other tournament as a player is the nerves that you over. If you don't believe me, go and look at that very cool post by Whoop, where they had a Whoop on JT when he was over the winning putt on 18. That dude's heart rate got to about 158 beats a minute. Okay. So imagine trying to calm yourself down in this situation. You actually don't. You just learn to embrace it. And I feel like the folks that do really well embrace the way you feel in this match play thing. And they realize that I'm just playing against one guy. And I'm okay with playing sort of some crazy offense at times and then playing situational golf at other times when people are out of play. So that's number 2, where match play, you can have data to say, well, so-and-so must play off these tees and so-and-so must play off those tees. Yeah, it is what it is, and that stuff's correct, but that doesn't mean you're going to win. It means you stack the odds in your favor. And then along those lines too, people need to really realize that the match play, that the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup are couples events. It's not a singular thing. And if you look at pictures of the Ryder Cup, you see Justin Rose holding Tommy Fleetwood by his face like this, because these guys are connected brains basically when they go out there and play. They're essentially acting like one man with 2 golf balls in a group. And so there's a way that they connect and they vibe with each other a little differently to the Americans. And then I want to say this. There was almost, because the Euros are masters at keeping themselves the underdog. Like they've won this thing how many times now, Greg, in the last how many years?
Yeah, 11 of the last 15.
Yeah, if you interview each and every
16,
one of them, they'll still say we're the underdogs. Look, they're ranked higher than us. Mm-hmm. And they use that thing to their advantage. And then when Keegan makes some asinine statement to be like, we're going to kick their effing rear end at Bethpage Black, did you see Luke Donald stuck that thing on his team room?
Of course he did.
Of course he did. And then you could see how they were thinking when he got up and made a very, very good opening ceremony speech, where he's just lobbing little darts across the bow there saying, we play for pride of country and stuff, and this is not for money. Because they are masters at keeping themselves the underdog. Yeah. And then when they take a Scotty Scheffler down, they celebrate it. It's like they have felled Goliath. And so the whole thing about this whole tournament is you can shout at me about data and you can talk to me about this and that and having the right captain. It's a mindset, and match play is a mindset. And these Europeans, they want the Ryder Cup more than the Americans do. The Americans can say it. The Americans ooze it. Pardon me, the Europeans ooze it. They don't need to tell you they want to win the Ryder Cup. You can feel it when you're around them. And that is, to me, what the real difference is. And then they used all the crowds there in New York. Did you see how the team gathered around Rory McIlroy and how they got up for him when he was getting ripped by the fans out there? It was they become one man with a common goal, and that goal is that little gold trophy. And it's amazing how they've done this. It is absolutely amazing. It's a masterclass in leadership and a collective mindset towards a goal. It's as simple as that. You can trot out Tiger Woods next time in Ireland. The Euros will go, that's an even bigger Goliath for us to take down. Watch us.
That's right.
I get a question about the Keegan thing. Right, Rory, right after the last Ryder Cup, says we're going to go to Bethpage and beat them. Is that in our team room?
I don't know. He should have had it in there,
right? Like I don't know either. I would love to think that it is, but I didn't hear anything about that. Okay. I would. It feels they win that battle too. They control the messaging, whether it's true or not. The money thing is it's just it's not true, but they win in that.
That is so true, because did you notice as soon as they win, they've got freaking Shane Lowry in Ryder Cup pajamas with a bottle of champagne on a big couch in front of that sign on their wall. You didn't see what was happening with the Americans. No. And then you see these Euros in the bus ride back home. This is like a life-changing event for them. It's incredible.
This is the Michael Jordan chip on the shoulder thing, where Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player ever, and absolutely in his era, is finding any possible thing to feel slighted about and to feel like he's the underdog and to feel like he has to take it to somebody. Oh, he didn't say hello to me in a restaurant. Now I've got to go and just absolutely demolish this guy. And come to find out, like, he makes that up, right? He's just making up things in his head. But like, that's what keeps it's very similar to what Europe does. They take all these little things and they say, look, everybody's against us. We're the underdogs. Let's go prove them wrong.
Yeah. And then to that too, I'll tell you who was the master of that bulletin board material. It was Brooks Koepka. And he had a cadre of folks around him too that would say, hey, Brooks, did you see what Bryson said about you? And they just get him aggravated. Now, you can't play golf aggravated, but the Euros seem to get it just enough where it kind of lights them up. It gets the adrenaline going, and then they play free, because to get into the real nuts and bolts of it, you can say what you like when people were showing all these like strokes gain numbers, which are sort of asinine, because again, a lot of these things you're playing with a partner at your side, so you're a little different. But the Europeans play partner golf more freely. If I saw one American putt miss on the low side or short, I saw countless. And then you watch those Euros, you're wondering why they're knocking in from all ranges, because they're rolling the ball at the hole with authority. They're playing as if there's no tomorrow. They got their hair on fire going, I'm playing to make this. I'm not playing not to lose. And I felt like the Americans on the first couple days, they were like, oh gosh, just don't lose this hole, as opposed to just going, we're in a sprint, man. This thing's going to last 16 holes. I got to fill it up. And that's what the Europeans did.
I was taking some notes while Mark was going through that, and a couple of the items that he pointed out, Greg, were the Europeans play match play earlier and they just vibe better, right? They're a collective mind. That's a pretty tall task for United States to fix those two things within 2 years, right? That's a cultural thing. That's a you build into that. That's not something you flip a switch on.
No, I don't think you can flip a switch. But see, this is really important, because what do you do when you can't solve a problem, right? That attitude comes from their past success, which Seve Ballesteros created that success because he created this different attitude, and they look back to him constantly, and it continues to leave success. So we don't have a savior like that. You know, looking back to Ben Hogan and his captaincies, it's kind of like, well, okay, they beat Great Britain. Then it went to Great Britain and Ireland, and then they had to go to Europe. Like, we were just better. With Seve, they were real underdogs, and he turned them around. So we don't have that yet. So what do we do? And it feels sometimes like the attitude is, well, you know, that's the way it is. And we got to solve that. And I think the solve to that is we have to be better at the things that we can control. The data may not make you win a point, but it gives you a better chance to win a point. Like you said, Mark, Well, we can't afford not to do that. If it improves our odds at all to win a point, we got to do that. We have to be a well-run organization. We got to compete in the messaging. We got to compete in the data. Like, we could literally copy their strategy for pairings and see what happens. And I think that's an inspiring thing. If you tell a tour player that they're going to make more birdies if they hit driver on a certain hole, they will hit driver with more confidence than if you just tell them to hit driver, right? If you can prove it a little bit, they are going to have more. Oh, you're telling me this is the best shot. This shot is a better shot for me to hit. I'll do better. Okay, then they believe it. And so there are just all these little areas where we don't have to solve the whole problem at once, in my opinion. We just have to take every little mini competition and we got to do better. And every single one.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I do want to point out, you got to give some credit where it's due. When you talk about having that personality, you kind of get in behind, because the Europeans, I'm not sure if you're aware, I was told that the silhouette of Seve, when he's winning at St. Andrews, when he's pumping his fists, they had that embroidered on the backside of their team logo on their heart. And it's little, and then they're looking at all of the uniforms of previous teams that had won in the United States, and they're wearing them in practice rounds. So they're kind of nodding to the history while being current. Now, I commend Keegan Bradley with bringing Larry Nelson back in there, because he's tying the whole military thing in with a guy who's unbeaten, a guy who should have been captain, and that sort of a deal. And so Keegan was doing his best. And yes, I feel like as far as management went, hindsight's 2020. But I will say I felt like there was a misstep with the Russell and Scotty order on Friday morning. I felt like Scotty should have teed off first, because when I was watching them play, Russ was hitting the ball in fairways, but as soft as it was, Scotty was having long irons to a lot of targets, and that's not his wheelhouse. Okay. But then I feel like also the golf course, I mean, when I took a walk around there the first time with Rick and with Patrick, I remember saying a few times to you guys, I was like, gosh, the last time I was here for the PGA, I mean, I was having to remove ticks for myself because there was fescue everywhere.
Yeah.
And the rough off the fairways was like this high, and if you missed a fairway, you were cooked. Now you could just bash the thing anywhere. And the Europeans are not short. Did you see how long Matthew Fitzpatrick was driving the ball this week? So it's like they didn't really have a bunch of short hitters on their team. You had Rory and Rasmus and all these boys that could crunch the thing, John Rahm. So I feel like there was a misstep on the course setup as well. And what didn't help, it really didn't help, was we had a biblical deluge, a day and a half before the tournament, and those greens were like dartboards, man. And there's nothing really to them. They're small, but they don't have big humps and hollows, so there was no defense. So if you had a little mojo going on, you could attack flags. And again, the Europeans were playing as if they were playing to win, where on certain occasions I felt like the Americans, not on Sunday, but on Friday, Saturday, were playing not to lose.
That's the first I heard about the Seve silhouette. I assumed they had something on the inside of their jerseys. They had that in Rome as well. It was their initials and maybe, their number. The European team, they assign a number that you are to kind of build the legacy, your number as a member of Team Europe, something like that. But they also had something inside the jerseys. The Seve silhouette, I did not. I assumed there was something in there. That was the first I heard. That's what it was.
Well, that Loro Piana clothing that they wear, every garment is handmade.
Yeah.
And I was told that at least 15 sets of hands touch every garment, and they cost the shirts are like 850.
Oh, it's incredibly expensive Italian wear. Yes.
But we're the sophisticated one. We're the sophisticated ones in America.
But that's the thing too. I mean, you look at them and they're wearing uniforms from previous teams, which was a cool touch, and you're wearing the stuff that just makes you feel great, and then I don't know, and then you got Luke Donald, which I found very cool, in the coffee stations in the hotel room, he's got Cadbury's chocolate, which we've talked about on the show, with comparing it to Twix. He's had Cadbury's make chocolate bars that say Team Europe on them next to the coffee machine. And so that's a touch of home coming over here with a little motivation. And then I was told also that he went in the hotel, which we've stayed at before, incidentally, for the PGA Championship. And he looked at the doors. He goes, no, there's too much noise that can come through these doors. So they refitted all the doors to fit better to cut noise out. And then I saw Whoop readings that the average American team's rest and recovery was higher than the Americans too. So there's another one of those little things, Greg, that you talk about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they build it up.
Winning everywhere.
Whoop, right. It's not one thing. It's all the things. There was a Whoop. Whoop has been doing this. They've been tracking players for a couple of years now, and every 10, so they have a recovery score. I think every 10% of recovery is worth like a half a stroke in a tournament or something like that. Is the data that they've come up with. We can determine whether that's, I don't know, just marketing BS, but that's what they come up with. And it makes sense, right? You're well rested. You're ready to rock and roll. Like, it's all good.
Well, I'm a Whoop ambassador, right? And I believe in the thing. Oh, you are too, yeah. And Rory, the night before the final round of the Masters, apparently was at 77%, which is green. That's you're good to go.
It's good.
And the average for the European team last week was like 58, which is pretty good. And the Americans were lower than that. It was like 54 or 5 or something like that. Now,
it's hard to recover after 36 holes.
Yeah, that's a big deal. It really is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, those strain numbers must have been outrageous.
I did see, yeah, exactly. I mean, my strain walking, how many holes I did during the day was up there. But I did see Rory's recovery on Monday morning was 1%.
Well, I think that's the alcohol. Yeah. That's the alcohol and lack of sleep. Alcohol will kill your recovery number. 1% is very good. All right, couple of notes here real quick. Mina, can you share that polo that I have here? Hold on. All right, this is a Laura Piano polo. This is just a short sleeve polo, 2 buttons at the top. How much do you think this costs?
Oh my gosh.
$900.
Okay.
It looks like $79.99.
It's probably wool.
Just from this picture.
From this picture, I don't know. I'll find the material or whatever. But just from this picture, this looks like a polo that you would get at Ross for like $19.
Yeah, you could say that too.
I'm sure it's much better material. So, Greg, what's your guess here?
Considering that, I will say $4.99.
That is a $2,800 polo.
Oh,
what's it? Wool? It's got to be wool.
All right. Well,
How do you buy that?
You can get it online. You can add it to your cart right now. It is a.
No, how do you actually say yes? This is for me. This is the shirt for me.
It is. This is what they're describing it as. 100%, and then they've trademarked this type of wool. The Gift of Kings virgin wool.
Woo! I get a little excited at that. I need a cold shower.
Nice.
I'm pretty excited too. Handcrafted, the rarest merino wool in the world, handcrafted in Italy. Like Mark said, every single detail.
But is it hot? I mean, is this moisture wicking? What kind of breathability are we dealing with
if
here?
you're spending $2,800 on a shirt, you got people fanning you down wherever you go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I bet you can't even wash. You have to probably get this wash it dry. Yeah, like you can't even wash this normally.
You got to wash it in a river.
Big.
Here it is. We recommend a professional cleaning service for it.
Yeah.
That's the pole.
It must be.
It only goes up from there. Long sleeves, sweaters, pants. It only goes up from there.
The one
handmade, hand washed.
The ones I've seen were like $900. I didn't realize they were ones that lofty.
Yeah, there's a couple. I did handpick. There are a couple other polos that are, like $900.
Bill in the chat goes, I can get something like that looks at Target for $39.99.
Somebody said, does money come out of the sleeves? I think it's over this money come out of the sleeves. That's funny. That's very funny. Any final, I'm sure here's what's going to happen. Ryder Cup discourse is not going to be over because we're still going to continue to hear more stuff that comes out and all that stuff. But anything else, Mark, it looked like you wanted to jump in there.
I do. Bethpage Black is a good golf course. It's a great golf course. Bethpage Black for spectating was shocking. An old style golf course, all the greens are raised up. It's old school drainage. So if you were standing greenside, more than likely you were, unless you were in a grandstand, you weren't going to see the ball going in the hole. So every celebration was muted and a little late. When you're walking down fairways and stuff, you're so far away, you're not seeing very much stuff. And I feel like that really tapped into sort of ruining the fan vibe, or the noise at least. And then the fact that 5 holes are on the clubhouse side of the road, then you leave and you go over there and you don't come back until hole 14. That kind of scattered all of the fans over a massive space of land. And that really ruined the whole noise of the Ryder Cup too. Now that ramped up on, no, you did have the Europeans drumming folks, so it had folks kind of quiet and muted. But it did get louder on Sunday, but it still was nothing like one I went to at Hazeltine. Hazeltine was big, but it was concentrated, and there was a noise all the time, and the fans were all in. Whistling Straits covers a lot of ground. You couldn't really hear a lot of noise either, but the Americans were dominant there. But I feel like everything was made about the fandom in New York, and the whole thing was scuttled by the layout of the golf course. And then I almost want to say to the Americans, and this was something I was considering, so correct me if you think I'm wrong. When you asked the Europeans why they were going to win, they told you, because we're going to play like this, our groups are better, we've proved it, we know what we're doing. The whole thing about the American answer was like, we got the New York fans. And everyone was talking about the fans. The fans were non-existent for 2/3 of the tournament because of the way the Americans were playing, and then more importantly, the golf course. I feel like for a PGA, it's great because you've got 156 players out there. But for a Ryder Cup, no, you've got to go somewhere a little tighter where you jam people in and it gets loud.
I got one more question.
Okay.
This is the last thing I want to say about the pairings, but I want to get your thoughts on this. Do you think that Keegan Bradley, if he was captaining the Europeans, or if the European players were American, if the roles were reversed, let's say. Okay, so American fans, and in Rome, the Americans won with the pairings the Europeans had. Ludwig Oberg and Victor Hovland went 9-7 and 4-3. They won both matches they played in Rome. This time they were split up. Justin Rose has a 7-2-1 foursomes record. Didn't play a single foursome session. Matt Fitzpatrick has an 0-3 foursomes record. Played both sessions. Now they did that because the data told them to. Do you think Keegan Bradley, or any American captain, I should say, could or would do something like that?
I think they were. The short answer is no. The long answer is we were dangerously close to them finding a way to get Jordan Spieth on this team and run out Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas, just because that's like what has worked before. In the past. Yeah.
Right. So, it's amazing to me how much trust Luke Donald and the players have in what Eduardo Molinari does.
I couldn't agree more. I will say this. I felt like Keegan Bradley did a really good job. You know, in Europe, the Ryder Cup
players played hard for him.
Yeah, they really did. And in Europe, again, the Ryder Cup, it's in their soul. In America, it's like another corporate thing, and I'm going to get $500,000 to give to my charity, right? And yes, of all patriotic pride, but the Europeans, you get the sense that they're like fighting for their collective lives when they're playing this thing. So I'll say that. So I feel like Keegan did a decent job. I will say this too, is if you look at the European way that they put out the groups, you did have their regulars that they put out there. But then also, if you really pay attention to it and the data they were looking at, was you can say Matt Fitzpatrick's got an 0-7 record or whatever he had. In terms of form, why are you looking at me like that? In terms of form, he was one of the guys who was playing the best on the team running into this tournament. And then he's actually got a decent match play record because he won the US Amateur, so he knows how to play it. He's just shown up there previously, maybe with the wrong partner or not playing so well. So he came in here playing really nicely, and he freaking was a force. Did you see him there on Friday?
Oh, he was awesome.
So a lot of what they do very well is like, you playing well, you're going to play. Get ready for 5 sessions. If you're not playing well, you're going to have your ass on the bench a few times, and we'll see you in singles. That's what the Europeans do because it's so important to them.
Okay, we're going to put a pin in it. I'm sure we'll talk more of Ryder Cup. We're going to make the hard pivot to the Sanderson Farms Championship. The show must go on. Greg, this is your full field with a cut. We've talked about the FedEx Fall before. These guys needing to position themselves. We see a lot of guys play, the fall week over week, basically play the entire fall, jockeying for position. So we're back to stroke play. Will you be able to focus on this, or will you still have lingering Ryder Cup thoughts?
I'll definitely have lingering Ryder Cup thoughts, but okay. I'll be able to get into this. Okay. I don't know if I will on Thursday, but come Friday, I'll be ready to go. I'll be following it, and I'm really looking forward to it. This is a cool section of the fall. It's almost like a Q school, 8 over the span of 6 weeks, which is a really cool thing. If you think about it, like 6 rounds, you're going to tell who the best players are over 6 rounds? No, but you do it over 6 tournaments. Now you got 24 rounds. That's a much better sample size. So I'm really excited to see how the guys move up. You're going to see a lot of fight. You're going to see some guys make a nice charge. And although we had the Pro Core already in the fall, this is really, it's like a restart. The Pro Core is like a cup match warm-up, and then we restart. Now we really get into the fall with some consecutive weeks in a row.
Yeah, and Mark, Country Club of Jackson is a place we've seen plenty. It is it's going to play as a par 72 as it always does, 7,400 yards. What do we know about the Country Club of Jackson?
Well, first off, I did have something else about the Ryder Cup.
Okay.
Fans, I scoured every nook and cranny in that merchandising, and I could not find the Rory McIlroy USA t-shirt. I tried though.
Oh, good call. I forgot about that. I'm sure that they have been sent to needy children in Africa. Yeah, for sure. Those were never going to make it into the merch shop.
No,
those are with the losing
the USA ones,
Super Bowl teams.
Yeah, exactly. The 4-time Buffalo Bills Super Bowl championships.
As it pertains to the Country Club of Jackson, some of the best greens you're going to see all year long. Thing about the South, though, it's been quite dry down here for some reason. And so I'm expecting the golf course is going to play really well because its best defense is about 2 inches worth of Bermuda rough, which is just slightly dormant. So if you hit the ball in there, the ball comes out like a rocket. And then you got these greens that are like billiard tables. And if they're firm, it's going to be a whole lot of fun to watch. It's a cool golf course. It's old style, but the greens are the best part of it and the Bermuda rough. So it always produces a good field. And you've got to hit the ball well around there and, of course, make some putts. But the cool thing is, like, if you look at some of the winners there, you got a striker like a Luke List, and then you got some dude like Peter Malnati that's won there too. So you can put the dots off the thing and win, or you can ball strike it to death. So it's very democratic in the way it plays.
Kevin, you is your defending champion, and just to kind of put things into perspective, your favorite, Akshay Bhatia, teeing it up this week, Min-Woo Lee, Michael Thorbjornsen, Davis Thompson, amongst others. That's what the top of this board looks like, and some other names we're going to get to in a second. Armina is going to release the grid in a minute, but Mina, I don't know if we got – Mark, did you see the grid from last week? This is the grid from last week. You had Tommy Fleetwood at 9.5 to 1 to be the top point scorer. Yes, sir. And you had Europe winning at plus 170. Very job well done.
And Russell Henley, my gosh. Well, he only played 3 times, didn't he? Yeah?
That's correct.
So who was the top debutant?
Cam Young.
Cam Young.
Oh, yes, of course.
3-1.
Yeah, splendid. Sat out Friday morning, played every session after that, went 3-1. Very well done. Okay, Mina, now you can release this week's grid, please. All right. that was last week's grid. Oh boy, we caught her in a pickle. She's there we go. All right. So if you've never seen this,
you better be careful, Rick. You're going to be in the doghouse very shortly.
I've already annoyed her once during this show. I might as well just go for it all right now because I'm going to be in trouble one way or another. If you've never seen this before, this is the grid. We've got one matchup, one finishing position, and two separate outrights. Gives us a chance to talk about more players. Let's start with this matchup. And Mark, I'm going to start with you because you have no fear about a guy who probably has 1% recovery right now.
But look, I'm still on the Rasmus Højgaard train. I was disappointed he didn't play more. I watched him play. I thought he was playing great, and to come out in the Ryder Cup and birdie your first hole that you play, I thought that was pretty big. And they got on the wrong side of momentum there. But I'm looking at this saying, yes, he's probably exhausted from the Ryder Cup, but probably exhilarated too, because to be in an environment like that, you see how these golfers, when they're just letting it fly and they're playing at a level above themselves, because you're seeing guys at their very best and the adrenaline's flowing. And I feel like some of that confidence is going to flow over. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win, but I feel like he's good enough to beat Michael Thorbjornsson, so I'm going to take him.
Yeah, that's even money. Rasmus over Michael Thorbjornsson. Greg, this is very much a FedEx Fall event with these two names, but I like where your mind is at. Where are you headed this week?
Yeah, I got Patrick Fishburne over Mark Hubbard. And I find this to be interesting. Look, some of the recent form stuff you got to kind of take with a grain of salt because we've had a little bit of time in between. So, like, for Patrick Fishburne, he played the Pro Tour. He played the Wyndham. The event before that was in July.
Yeah.
So you got to take it with a grain of salt. But, what else are we going to look? We're not just going to guess here. So I find it really interesting. I look at the past winners here. You got Kevin Yu, Luke List, Mackenzie Hughes, Sam Burns, and Sergio Garcia. Okay, for the most part, these are great ball strikers. Then, if you look at your, course key stats on rickrungood.com,
which you should.
Putting is very highly correlated to success, which explains the Mac Hughes, even though he was first in tee to green the week he won. It explains Malnati. It explains players like that as well. Well, Patrick Fishburne, I think, has the firepower to be in that great driver of the golf ball kind of category. But he's also he ended the season on a tear with the putter. In his last 5 events, he was beating the field with the flat stick, and his ball striking was pretty good. So I have a lot of faith in the upside here with Patrick Fishburne.
That reminds me, Greg, you're going to be very happy. I am almost done a brand new course key stats tool that is like as crazy as ever. It might be, I might pull a shoulder patting myself on the back. It might be my best work yet.
Really?
Yes.
I can't wait to see it.
Yes. Thank you.
Folks, that's Rick Run Good, RICKRUNGOOD.com.
That's right. Thank you very much. .com.
You should be Rick Run God. It's just so good.
Wow. Thank you. I'm going to clip that. It'll probably be available, probably not next week. That's Zozo. There is no data for Yokohama. Probably the week after. I'll tell you what, Greg, I'll send it to you in advance and tell me if there's anything else you want on there. And because it's like speak now or forever hold your peace, because once I publish it, like.
I noticed you're not sending it to me. What's up with that?
Well, listen, you want it too? I'll send it to you, but I
look at Rick Run Good often.
All right, I love that.
I didn't need to look at Rick Run Good to tell you what the notable course stats were for Jackson, Mississippi.
Yes, Jackson, Mississippi. It's all on there. Every shot that's been hit is getting in there in some form or fashion. This concludes the Rick Run Good ad. Rico Hoey over JT Poston for me. Talk about guys that flush it. Talk about guys that need to find a putter. Rico Hoey could be this year's Kevin Yu. I know he's going to show up later for, I won't spoil it, on the grid. But Rico Hoey over JT Poston -105 for me. Finishing positions. Greg, you get to go first.
I will go with Emiliano Grillo for a top 20. That's at +140. I really like the way that he's playing. I like the way he ended the season. Made 5 cuts in a row with the top 20. And he was 4th at the Pro Tour as well. 2nd back at the John Deere with kind of old school Emiliano Grillo ball striking. I could see some similarities between him and Kevin Yu or Sergio Garcia when he's on his game. Putted much better towards the end of the season too. Feel like things are looking up, and I feel like this is a good course fit for him. So I like him top 20, Emiliano Grillo.
I found so I saw these on DraftKings, and by the time we go live, these are not always available, but they had specific lines for finishing positions.
These.
Yes, which by the, we do this Tuesday afternoon. They're not always up there. I couldn't resist. So I have Akshay Bhatia under 25.5. So it's basically he needs to finish inside the top 25. So under would be better than that. So if he finishes 7th, 7 is under 25.5. It's a smaller number. That's how that works. At minus 120, I think this kind of little bit of a reset is good for him. The putter started to misbehave a little bit at the end of the season. I think he is the best player in this field. I have a lot of high hopes off of this mini reset, and I have him finishing what is essentially inside the top 25 at minus 120.
So what was the line on him to finish inside the top 20?
It would be, I can pull it up for you.
Yeah, please.
Minus 105.
Okay, so it's kind of commensurate. All right, I see where we are.
Yeah. So I just get a couple extra positions there. Now, Mark, you are going back to the well off a golfer who had, in his most recent start, one of his best results in a long time.
Maybe it's a little recency bias, but like I said about the European Ryder Cup team, I'm a big one on form. I really am. And Lanto Griffin looked pretty good at the Pro Core. I mean, had a shot to win, really. And I can't help but remember his post-game remarks, where he just seemed like he was so thankful and so relieved to basically have locked up his PGA Tour card for next year. So this guy's showing up there in Mississippi where a lot of guys aren't, where they kind of under the cosh a little bit to now have a big finish to get their card for next year. I feel like Lanto is swinging freely, he's swinging well. Top 40 plus 105, sign me up every day and twice on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
All right, sign Mark up indeed. That's Akshay, top 25, essentially. Grillo, top 20, and Lanto Griffin, top 40, which leaves us with the outright market. And this is a little bit weird, right? I think we've kind of alluded to this. We've got guys that played last week at the Ryder Cup. We've got guys that played in Napa. We've got guys that we haven't seen since the Wyndham Championship. So some guys are in, I don't want to say better competitive form, but we've just seen them more recently. So you'll kind of see we're all over the map here. Mark, why don't you give us your 2 outrights, please?
My 2 outrights. One is a former champion here in Mackenzie Hughes, and he is playing solid at 40-1. And the other one, I feel like it's time. I really do feel like it's time for Max Homa to now get himself into contention. Now, I'm not saying he's going to win, but if you look at the field, and you said Akshay was the best player in the field, Max Homa could lay a bit of a claim to that. I understand he's coming back with the golf swing adjustments, but from everything I've heard from people close to him, he's very happy with where his game is. I was surprised at the poor play in Silverado at the Pro Core, but you come into a place where it's going to reward him. He's long off the tee. He can strike some shots around here and make a few putts. So Max Homa and Mackenzie Hughes, both 40-1.
Yeah, that I like that area of the board, like 30-1 and longer. I think there's a lot of good options there. I went there with Matt Wallace, who has played 4 times since the Wyndham Championship. He's got the runner-up finish at the Omega European Masters. He played the BMW Championship. He had a pretty good strokes gain numbers there, just kind of didn't putt as well. So I've got him at 40-1. And then Davis Thompson, who is the guy that I'm kind of just like resetting. I think Davis Thompson needs a little bit of a reset. You look at the longer term stuff, last 100 rounds for everybody's top 3 tee to green player in this field, has won on the PGA Tour before. I trust the DNA of Davis Thompson maybe more than the form that we saw at the end of last season. So he's 22-1, a little bit closer to the top of the board. Gregors, you've got 2 very interesting names here. One overlaps with Mark. What did you find for us, please?
Yeah, the one overlapping with Mark is Max Homa at 40-1. I think it's really interesting, Rick, when you look at the longer-term form, you could call him the best player in this field without question, depending on how long you look. And any kind of reset for Max Homa would be a good sign. But it's more than just guessing what happened in the reset. For the last month or so of the season, maybe the last 2 months of the season, Max Homa started to hit the ball a lot better. He started his profile from a statistical point of view is starting to look like the Max Homa of old, where if he putted well, he played well. If he didn't putt well, he did okay. But putting kind of was the key to him winning. I think he's getting back to that place with the golf swing. I'm not seeing a golf swing that is lost. I don't think we've really seen that since like Detroit or maybe the Travelers. So I'm big on Max Homa this week for an upside play of 40-1. It might be the last time you get him at odds this long. And then next I have Rico Hoey. Like you, Rick, I really like what he does tee to green, and the switch to the long putter. Now this is the second week of that. I think it has the potential to be electric. And it looks to me like Vegas thinks so too, having him at 30-1. Max Homa, that number feels a little long for him. It feels a little short for Rico Hoey. I think in both cases, that's a good situation.
2 nods for Max Homa, a Mackenzie Hughes, a Rico Hoey, a Matt Wallace, and a Davis Thompson on the outright board. I did clean that up, Mark. There was a question in the chat about what that M stands for. And I, of course, said it stands for Mark because that's
Municipal. You go there and you can use my discount code if you want.
What is the code? Just tell us. Is it Mark?
On the mark, you'll get yourself a discount.
All right, there you go. Municipal gets the free ad. We'll be checking up on that later. The final thing that we need to do is we need to make our selections for NFL Survivor. This is a contest.
I hate this game. I don't want to do this anymore.
Well,
I guess I'm not.
We'll talk about that. We have this contest on Splash, which is where we're going to have our one and done next year. There's weekly contests. There's a lot of stuff over there for football and golf, and there's a Rick Run Good golf contest, and there's college football and baseball and all that stuff. Everything's over there. We are down to, in this Survivor, 389 from the 556 that entered. Unfortunately, one of those who have seen their demise is Mr. M on his hat, Mark Immelman, who picked the Chargers last week, and they fell to Jackson Dart and the Giants.
Geez, can you believe it? And you know what made it even worse? Yeah, look at that big red X over my name there. That's sickening. Even Patrick and the Steelers. Oh gosh, that makes it worse. But the Falcons go and beat the freaking Commanders. Now I understand that Jaden Daniels wasn't playing for the Commanders, but still, these were the Falcons that got drummed by 30 by Charlotte. So I was like, golly, I'm going to go with the Chargers, who I thought were basically a done deal. And then I turn on the TV there on Sunday at the Ryder Cup, and my day was ruined. My day was absolutely ruined.
Well, don't let it ruin your day. It's okay.
Keep laughing, you clowns. I hate you both.
I'm not laughing. I almost switched to the Chargers, Mark. I
almost switched to the Patriots. I should have stuck with you, Greg. If I'd stayed in your slipstream, I'd still be alive.
You would, because I'm still alive. I was so nervous about the Patriots. You have no idea. It's like this could be the worst pick. The Panthers, by the way, I like how you called them Charlotte. I think they should switch to the Charlotte Panthers.
Yeah.
They need to do something.
They need to keep playing Atlanta.
They've got to win this season, right? They've won one time.
That's
30-0.
Yeah, there are a couple of teams that are, I think, still looking for that first win. The good news is Mark has submitted a pick. He has his season is over on Splash, but
you know what, Rick? I used to really like your wife until she texts me before the show and says, "Hey, I still want you to put in a pick, and we'll put a couple asterisks next to it." I wanted to say, Mina, go away, but I didn't. Yeah, I obliged with our producer.
Yeah, you could tell her to go away. That's okay. So here we go. Mark, you have gone with the Colts this week over the Raiders. What is it about these Colts?
They're just playing very well. And I hate, by the way, that red star by my name, but I'll tolerate it. I'm good. So give me the Colts. Not that it matters.
It's like
I feel like I'm in the B flat now. This sucks.
It's like a scarlet letter for sure. Listen, we will be there before you know it. Don't worry. In fact, Greg and Mina might go out together. If this team goes down, who did you guys pick?
The Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions are playing the Bengals.
Oh, they look bad.
They look really bad.
Well, Joe Burrow going away is a bad idea as well.
Huge problem. They have no run game, even though they have a good running back. They have no time for. I was listening to a football show. They were talking about how this might be the worst offensive line of all time.
Dude, I saw like 6 plays in this game, and every single play, the defensive line was through in a half a second and demolishing whoever that quarterback is.
Browning.
Yeah.
Apparently, there was a play where they rushed 3, and 2 guys got through unblocked.
There's just no resistance whatsoever.
Hey, speaking of offensive lines, did you see my outside? Who was it? What position he was? But for Bama on the weekend, catch a pass and run for 10 yards.
Yes,
beautiful. 300-pounder. That's tackling that dude's like a business decision.
You don't want to do that.
No.
You throw your back into his knees and hope for the best.
Hope for the best. Yeah, hope you survive it. So you're going with the Lions, and they are 10.5-point favorites. I believe they're the biggest favorites on the board.
If not, it's the Bills again, or that might have been last week.
Yeah,
they're right up there.
Yes, they are right up there. The Bills are 7.5-point favorites. Arizona's a 7.5-point favorite. I went with the Rams. I'll tell you, I usually just pick like the second highest favorite because I assume most people are going to take the favorite, like the biggest favorite, and then I'm hoping something crazy happens in Cincinnati, a late blocked whatever, and I can just knock all you guys out and I can get away with this. So I have no idea how the Rams play. I have no idea how the 49ers play. I just found out right now as I looked up, they're playing on Thursday, which does not make me happy. I do not like the chaos of a Thursday, but they're at home against, I actually don't like this anymore. Quite honestly, this is like too much of a rivalry thing for me. I hate this right now.
I was going to say, you have no fear of a divisional game.
I usually don't, but a Thursday night divisional game, short rest, I hate this.
Rick, I'm so disappointed, given the bright mind that you are, that you would just go, well, I normally just pick the second favorite and hope for the best. I thought there'd be some strategy
Rick,
to it.
what happened to the future values?
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Is that out the window?
No. I looked it up. I ran, I got some recommendations, but the problem with this is, so the site that I use, which is Pool Genius, I have a good partnership with them. Here, use promo code Rick. Their stuff doesn't come out until like 5 Eastern on Tuesday, which is like when we do this show. So I have like 2 minutes to look at it before we have to put this pick in. And it was Lions were not my number 1 option, but I had already used them. And Rams were my number 2 option. But I did not look to see that they were a Thursday night home game against a divisional opponent. That kind of worries me a little bit.
So Lions were the best, including future value.
Yes, for me. So it's specific to me. And
because of who you've picked already.
And well, I guess we're in the same pool, but the size of our pool, yes.
Got it.
Yeah. So they were number 1. Arizona was up there, I think. But yes, Arizona's a pretty good one too. But yeah, I went with the Rams.
Hey, Rick, speaking of picks, I'm looking at Mina here, who's went with like Green Bay, and she's went with all the favorites. Now she's going with the Lions. I can see her making it to like the 12th round or something and be left with the Saints.
Yeah.
and who, the Carolina Panthers and company. I'm keen to see how this plays out.
Yeah, she's going to be playing the Dolphins and, the Titans and all these teams that she's going to need some magic. She's going to need to hope everybody else gets knocked out.
There we go.
That's all she cares about. She only wants to beat us. She does not care if she finishes.
Like, as long as there's a bear chasing you.
Yes.
You just want to outrun somebody.
All right, gents. That'll do it for Sanderson Farms. Be back on Friday for the midway recap. Anything else? Anything else that cannot wait a moment longer?
I think it can all wait.
It can all wait.
Look at the camera, Rick.
I have to look at the camera so she can get her her thumbnails or whatever. I don't know what she does with it. Just
Rick, I want to say this for the fans because we engage our fans on this show, unlike all the others. So I'm giving a diatribe there. I'm not sure what I'm saying, but I'm looking at the screen, and the next thing I see Rick go, it's like he's seen a ghost, and I just see the whites of his eyes, and I'm like, what have I said? And then I look at our private chat, and it's Armina telling Rick, "Look at the camera."
Look at the
Rick,
camera.
So Rick's being a little bit of a savage to his wife. He's like, "Okay, here I am. Look at me."
I did the big eyes. Yeah.
So we'll pray for you, Rick, when we put this call down.
I know. I don't want this call to end because I am about to barge through this door.
Anybody else, please?
Yeah, please. Let's talk. The bottom of the Sanderson Farms board. I don't care. No, we'll.
Let's talk about Colin Morikawa.
I can't do that today.
No,
I need preparation for that. That's got. I need
Rick, you
Xanax.
talk about. Pretend you're talking about that, but this needs to end.
Big thanks to producer Mina, who is the best producer, and she would never take out any anger on me. Thank you very much, Mark Immelman, Greg DuCharme. I'm Rick Gehman. This is The Second Cut. We'll catch you next time.